very good afternoon and a warm welcome to News at 12, coming to you on Politics and Business Television Abuja. Many thanks for joining us on the program for today. On today's headlines, oil marketers sue Dangote as they insist on petrol imports. Lagbaja Inspector General directs police officers to wear black bands. And world leaders salute President-elect as Trump vows to end illegal immigration. Details of this and more and news content after the break. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on the program today. My name is Amina Idris. Now the news in full. On oil matters today, 3 oil marketers, AYM Shafa Limited, AA Rano Limited, and Matrix Petroleum Services Limited, have asked the Federal High Court in Abuja to dismiss a suit filed by Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals. The marketers in a joint counter affidavit marked FHC ABJ CS 1324-2024 and dated November 5th, 2024, in response to an originating summons filed by Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals argued that granting the application of refinery would spell doom for the country's oil sector. They emphasized that the plan to monopolize the oil sector is a recipe for disaster in the country. Dangote Refinery, in its originating summons dated September 6, 2024, had sued Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, AYM Shafa Limited, AA Rano Limited and T-Time Petroleum Limited, 2015 Petroleum Limited and Matrix Petroleum Services Limited as first to seventh defendants respectively. The refinery prayed the court to declare that NMDPRA was in violation of Sections 317 Acts 8 and 9 of the Petroleum Industry Act by issuing licenses for the importation of petroleum products. It stated that such licenses should only be issued in circumstances where there is a petroleum product shortfall, urging the court to declare that NMDPRA is in violation of its statutory responsibilities under the PIA for not encouraging local refineries such as the company. Shafa, AA Rano and Matrix Petroleum, however, responded that Dangote Refinery does not produce adequate petroleum products for the daily consumption of Nigerians. They noted that the plaintiff had not placed anything before the court to prove the contrary. The oil marketers also argued that they are well qualified and entitled to be issued an import license by NMDPRA to import petroleum products in Nigeria within the meaning of Section 317 Act 9 of the PIA, noting that they are fully qualified for the issuance of the import licenses issued to them by the first defendant, as the duly met all the legal requirements for the issuance of such import licenses before the same were issued to them. And as the Nigerian nation mourned the death of the Army Chief, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered officers and men of the Nigeria Police Force to wear black bands for a 7-day mourning period in honor of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja. The police boss gave the directive in a statement issued on Thursday by the Force Police Relations Officer Muyiwa Adejobi. Adejobi said that the directive is to honor Lagbaja, who showed gallantry, dedication and passion in the fight against insurgency in the country during his lifetime. It is on the report that the late Army Chief, appointed by the President Bola Tinubu on June 19, 2023, died on Tuesday at the age of 56 nights after a prolonged illness. Following his death, the Army Chief The president on Wednesday directed that Nigeria national flags be flown at half-mast for 7 days across the country to mourn the passing of the late Army chief. The president's directive was conveyed through a statement signed by his special advisor, Bayo Onanuga, titled Announcement of the Passing of Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja. And now let's take a quick glance on the international space, where Donald Trump has emerged as the 47th president of the United States after winning over 292 electoral college votes in the 2024 election. Trump won the election, having crossed the 270 score required to clinch the White House. As of the time of this report, Vice President Kamala Harris had polled 224 votes in the electoral college system, according to the Associated Press. On the heels of the results, President Joe Biden called President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his election victory and to invite him to the White House to discuss the transition. The White House said staff would coordinate a date in the near future. Biden plans to address the nation on the election results, which will have sharp implications for his legacy on Thursday. Biden also spoke with Vice President Harris to congratulate her on the campaign, the AP reports. Addressing a massive crowd of supporters in West Palm Beach, Florida on Wednesday, Trump vowed to deliver a strong, safe, and richer America while outlining his key priorities and echoing his promise to restore the country's former glory. On international relations, Trump declared his intention to end the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war and the Israel-Hamas-Lebanon conflict, stating that he would not start a war but will end one. A prominent theme of Trump's speech was his intent to reduce federal income taxes, which he framed as essential to bolstering the economy. Trump also spoke glowingly of a vaccine skeptic and environmental lawyer, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who he said will play a key role in his administration. Referencing recent assassination attempts against him during the campaign, Trump credited his survival to the Referencing recent assassination attempts against him during the campaign, Trump credited the survival to a divine purpose. In a note to Elon Musk, Trump praised the tech mogul as a new star and stressed the need for the need and importance of protecting super geniuses like Musk for the country's future innovation. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu and other world leaders have extended their congratulations to the U.S. President-elect. Tinubu said he looks forward to strengthening the ties between Nigeria and the U.S. amid the complex challenges and opportunities of the contemporary world. This is news analysis coming to you on Politics and Business TV. Still to come, economic hardship supports tertiary institutions, vice chancellors urge federal government. Details of these headlines and more news content after the break. Welcome back. The federal government has been urged to support private tertiary institutions to cushion the effects of the economic hardship in the country. The Vice Chancellor of the precious Cornerstone University, Timothy Adejumo, gave this advice at a press conference in commemoration of the third convocation ceremony of the institution held in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, on Wednesday. He appealed to the government to allow private institutions to benefit from the Tertiary Education Trust Fund and the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. Speaking on the forthcoming convocation, the VC disclosed that 118 students would be awarded degrees at the ceremony. He expressed the commitment of the institution to train students with exceptional character and entrepreneurship processes. Among those to be awarded are 14 first class, 65 second class upper, and 37 second class lower, and 2 third class honors. And in another news, following the investigation into the death of Olalekun Oloruntoba, a construction engineer who tragically passed away while operating a crane at an Ijora Yard facility, the Lagos State said it has sanctioned Julius Berger Nigeria PLC about the incident. While eyewitnesses initially revealed that Oloruntoba, an engineer at Julius Berger Nigeria, died when a loaded crane he was operating collapsed on him on September 23, 2024. The Lagos State Safety Commission's investigation report provided on Wednesday revealed that the cause of the incident was the impact of the content of a container. The Safety Commission had informed journalists that an investigation had begun into the incident after journalists reached out to the agency when news and photos of the deceased surfaced in late September, showing Oloruntoba laying lifeless, his face and head covered in blood. Although the specific details of the sanctions were not disclosed on Wednesday, the Commission's Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Lanre Mojola, through the Director of Public Affairs, Mrs. Adewumi Oko, revealed that the construction firm had been instructed to fulfill certain regulatory requirements following Oloruntoba's details. And now let's see the headlines on sports today.
Welcome to P&B Sports News. It was a devastating night again for European giants Real Madrid after losing yet another game at home to AC Milan by 3-1. A goal from M. Thiaw in the 12th minute gave the visitors the lead, but Madrid got their equalizer in the 23rd minute when Vinicius Jr. converted their penalty. But things got worse for the home side when their former player Alvaro Morata added salt to the wound by scoring in the 39th minute. The visitors sealed the victory when T. Renders scored the third goal in the 73rd minute of the game. And it was a loss yet again for Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League. It was another upset for Manchester City as well in the UEFA Champions League, where they were beaten 4-1 by Sporting CP. Foden opened the scoring for the visitors, but things went bitter for them when Gyökeres scored for the home side in the 38th minute and went on to score a hat-trick in the game that saw them beat the Premier League champions 4-1. In another news, The Bayelsa state government has given the technical advisor of Bayelsa United, Ladan Issa Boso, a 2-match ultimatum to ship up or shut up. Bayelsa United currently sit in the relegation zone of the 2024-2025 domestic top flight, rooted in 18th position with 10 points from 10 games. Displeased with the club's poor performance, the government feels the team's current standing is not a fair reflection of its investment, nor an acceptable reward for their support. They are prepared to take strong action if the team's fortunes do not improve over the next 2 matches. Returning to the White House after 4 years, Donald Trump has received congratulations from leaders of various nations. Among them, FIFA President Gianni Infantino extended his congratulations, marking occasions with a message on Instagram. Congratulations, Mr. President. We will have a great FIFA World Cup and a great FIFA Club World Cup in the United States of America. Soccer unites the world, Infantino wrote on his Instagram page. The relationship between Trump and FIFA could hardly be stronger. Trump played a pivotal role in the 2026 bid, which successfully secured the World Cup for the United States, Mexico, and Canada. In the last news of our sports today, former Super Eagles forward Nwankwo Kanu is rooting for Ademola Lookman to win the 2024 CAF Men's Player of the Year award. Lookman has enjoyed a brilliant year for club and country. The 27-year-old was the only African nominated in the 2024 Ballon d'Or. The talented winger finished 14th in the overall ranking. Kanu, who won the award twice in the past, believes that the Atlanta star is the only suitable candidate to win it this time around. There you have it, your sports news here on Pay and B Sport. My name is Alhamdulillah Lawrence, and bye for now.
Welcome back. Now, the electricity distribution companies in Nigeria have announced that there will be a second price hike in 4 months, marking the second price hike in 4 months. According to the DISCO, the cost of a single phase meter has risen from approximately 117,000 naira to as much as 149,800 naira, depending on the distribution company and meter vendor. Meanwhile, poor maintenance, culture, inadequate and aged equipment, vandalism of the power infrastructure, among other things, have been identified as parts of the reason for frequent collapses of the national power grid in Nigeria. Disclosing this was the chairman of the investigative committee probing reasons for grid collapse, Nafisatu Asebe. She said this during a report presentation at the Ministry of Power headquarters on Wednesday in Abuja. On the grid collapse incidents that occurred on October 14th and 19th, Asebe said the situation was caused by the shattering of lightning and arrestors in Jeba and Oshogbo transmission stations. The federal government, through the National Orientation Agency, has attributed the frequent collapse of the national grid, which results in nationwide blackouts, to the inability of the electricity distribution companies to take power generated. In a circular release on Wednesday titled, "While National Grid Collapses," and NOAA explained that the country can generate about 13,000 megawatts of electricity as well as transmit about 8,000, but given this cost-limited infrastructure, this will also result in system failure. The agency also said that last month the DISCOs rejected about 1,400 megawatts of electricity of the 5,313 megawatts that was generated by the generation companies. Welcome. Joining us on today's program to discuss power grid frequent collapse is Mr. Kunle Kola Olubiyo, a member Presidential Ad Hoc Committee on Review of Electricity Tariff in Nigeria. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Kunle Kola.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm equally President Nigeria Consumer Protection Network, and your studio or station is an institutional consumer of electricity and end user of electricity. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's a pleasure. So I'll begin by asking, is it not very embarrassing that the national grid has collapsed 10 times from February to date?
I'm with you.
I said, is it not very embarrassing that the national grid has collapsed 10 times from February to today?
Well, embarrassment. As we speak to you, the grid has just collapsed 5 minutes ago.
Wow.
So to say an embarrassment is an understatement, and it's a recurring decimal. I think what we will call like bubunishe or medication, I think the grid has manifested the fact that it's collapsing like 3 times in a week. And so that is the situation we have found ourselves.
But how would this put Nigeria as a country in the world? How would the world see us as a country?
Well, we have seen as very unserious set of people that there are 2 types of grid collapses. There's a grid collapse that comes from the decline in equilibrium of generation, transmission, and distribution. That means if generation, transmission, and distribution, they are not on the same frequency. That is GRID.
Okay.
That is grid collapse. But there's a grid that is GREED, corruption.
Yes.
The human element, which
so I'm coming to that. Could this frequent grid collapse, could it be as a result of government sabotage, or the grid is maybe too old?
Well, the sabotage, there's no individual that is referred to as government, but government has institutions that are usually manned by individuals. So if you budget money for network improvement or network maintenance, and such money is not spent for that purpose, of course, the grid, if you don't maintain, it is the input that gives rises to output. So if you don't invest on the grid, and you are using even your generator in your house, that is either I pass my neighbor or your vehicle, if you use them like every month, or even the aircraft, it is expected that one will go for routine maintenance. So where maintenance are not done, or where money meant for maintenance they are being used for what we call in local balance flexing or catching fund, Gen Z funds. Of course, if you don't maintain your hair, you don't go to the salon to wash your hair as a lady, you know what it means. It comes with some foul smell. So the grid is not being maintained, even in spite of all the resources that has been allocated. Give the grid $1 trillion, we will still have grid collapses as long as we are paying lip services to doing the needful.
Oh yeah, is the federal government aware of this, the dilemma this frequent power grid is causing to the nation? Because businesses, especially small businesses, will not be able to function very well without power, because nobody can even buy petrol for that generator at the moment, because of the perpetual hike in the country. So are they very well aware of how this power grid collapse is having great effect on the economy of the country?
We cannot say the government, by definition, is not aware, because for several days, about 15 states in northern Nigeria were without electricity supply.
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes. Northern Nigeria is state that's one of the economy states.
The swing state in a typical election, if you look at the 2023 election, the picture and the names of Mr. President and Vice Presidents, they were the one on the election that ballot papers that Nigeria voted for. And so if by sabotage, institutional sabotage or deliberate act or action or inaction of individuals, if Nigerians continue to, you see what happened in the US with the challenges of an incumbent
president,
with all the resources going for election. So I think what we think that Mr. President needs to do is to overhaul the transmission company of Nigeria, because apart from deliberate human element, the AFCC can lend credence to this. You can quote me for free. Those are the aim of AFIA in leadership position of power sector. They've continued to demarcate Mr. President, and they're not giving Mr. President the right kind of briefing. Talking about human element, the Northern Corridor, we have two legs of radial national grid system that the Northern Corridor key into and get supply. You have the Ugwaji coming from the southeast, Makurdi corridor. What happened on the Ugwaji Makurdi corridor leg is that by privilege of information and insight, I'm aware that the former immediate past managing director of Nigeria Electricity Management Service Agency, that served like the NAFDAC in the power sector, refused to grant certificate for the Ugwaji Makurdi transmission project infrastructure for commissioning. And so because there are a lot of gaps that were identified, there are joints where conductor is usually linked to each other and hooked, and you have that joint both referred to as a slip, and the slip was not properly fitted. And under the transmission infrastructure, there are trees or plantation, which we call vegetation control. When trees like rubber trees and big trees in the forest, when they grow under vegetation line, that's supposed to be right of way, from a very far distance, you should be able to even drive a car and see clearly the line of sight under transmission infrastructure. But most of our transmission lines, we have 47,000 transmission towers broken into 330 and 132 transmission with over 18,000 kilometers of landscape spread of transmission. So monies are usually budgeted for vegetation control to cut the tree with caterpillar or dormer machine, but we don't do that. We divert such money to buying Lexus 600, Lexus 600 SUV and other nefarious miscellaneous expenses that does not even have bearing on improvement or upscaling of operational efficiency. Now, if you are driving a car like a trailer, articulate vehicle, you're supposed to have fuel and brake, the brake system. You cannot be coming down the hill and you don't even have a brake, a functional brake system. So our transmission line is like a moving train or a trailer that is coming from Abacha. If you are in Abuja, I don't know, Abacha Barras, and going towards Karu, where you have to boot junction, without a brake. Even when you are pumping your brake, the dangers we used to have when people are closing from work, when they are around Kubo, and if a trailer is coming with speed, with load, without brake, it usually leads to loss of life. That's why we think, I'm giving a local analogy, that's why we restricted the movement of this truck to night. So our transmission line is to K transmission that does not have brake. You go to the road, you drive from maybe your station, to Abacha Barrack, you buy 5 liters of petrol. Then when you move again, like a vehicle, maybe what we call Araba or luxurious buses, you keep buying 3 liters when you get money for passenger. It doesn't show some level of seriousness.
So it is safe. It is safe to say that this frequent national power grid collapse is due to lack of maintenance on the government's part.
Corruption, institutional corruption. The grid equipments are obsolete. You don't have the SCADA, which is supposed to be used for automation and monitoring. If there's a fault or we want to report, we want to do coordination, we do that through mobile phone call instead of having a SCADA. The Jeba incident or the Shiroro incident or the fire incident, about 20 transmission stations have been set ablaze. They've catch fire because the protection that's supposed to come as fire sensor
are not provided.
When there are faults, they were not functional, and it's as a result of poor maintenance or misappropriation of funds. So moving forward, as a way forward for us to get out of this quagmire of mirage of challenges is for federal government to withdraw its equity and completely, 100%, take transmission subsector out of public sector funding. This year, budget for transmission, this thing is 400 billion. And we have a shortfall, we have indebtedness to GENCOs of about 2.5 trillion naira. We have indebted shortfall of about 3 trillion naira. And we have a budget of 400 billion. And out of that budget, there are crocodiles and baboons and hogs waiting. They will not even allow you to even get to where the funds is designed or meant for. So most of these funds are usually not, even the little media fund, they're usually not properly this. If you go to ESCC without fear of contradiction, they will tell you that they have a whole lot of files, on transmission on this subject matter.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kunle, for joining us on the program. And we call on the federal government to take the maintenance of our power grid into full consideration to avoid incessant power grid collapse. And that has been Mr. Kunle, a presidential committee of power review. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. We appreciate your presence and your contribution.
Always my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you
for having me.